Winston Churchill deliberately starved 3 million Indians to death while stockpiling massive grain reserves for British warehouses. While Bengal's innocent children died of hunger, Churchill blamed Indians for breeding like rabbits, causing their starvation. The man, celebrated as democracy's greatest savior, orchestrated one of history's most preventable genocides through deliberate policies. In 1943, Bengal produced enough rice to feed its entire population of 60 million people without any shortage. Churchill ordered the systematic diversion of Bengal's food supplies to already well-stocked British warehouses across the empire. British officials in India desperately begged Churchill to stop the grain exports from Bengal province immediately before catastrophe. But that's not even the worst part of Churchill's calculated destruction of Bengal's innocent civilian population through starvation. Churchill personally rejected American and Canadian ships offering wheat to save starving Indian families from certain death by hunger. He wrote that Indians were a beastly people with a beastly religion who deserved their starvation and death. Leopold Amory, Churchill's own India secretary, compared his hatred directly to Adolf Hitler's racial policies against Jewish people. Churchill told Amory that he hated Indians and considered them subhuman, dirty brown people inferior to white races. Desperate mothers sold their young daughters for single meals while Churchill hoarded Bengal rice in overflowing British warehouses. British soldiers systematically burned boats, preventing starving villagers from traveling to find food or work in other regions. Churchill ordered scorched earth policies, deliberately destroying Bengal's crops to prevent imaginary Japanese invasion risks that never materialized. The truth gets even darker when you discover Churchill's written racial hierarchy ranking system documents from his archives. Churchill believed in scientific racism, placing Anglo-Saxons above all other races as divinely superior beings chosen by God. He advocated using poisoned gas against uncivilized tribes in Iraq and Afghanistan's rebellious populations to maintain British control. Churchill called Palestinians barbaric hordes who ate little but camel dung, requiring British civilization to save them from savagery. He supported concentration camps in Kenya, where British forces tortured thousands of African prisoners, including women and children. Churchill wrote that Aryan stock was bound to triumph over indigenous peoples everywhere globally through natural selection and providence. Australian Aboriginals deserved extinction because stronger races naturally replaced inferior ones through divine providence, according to Churchill's writings. What happened next will absolutely shock you about Churchill's direct personal involvement in Bengal's mass death through starvation. Viceroy Wavell personally flew to London, desperately begging Churchill to release grain for dying millions of Bengali civilians. Churchill responded by mockingly asking why Gandhi hadn't died yet, if the food shortage was actually real and serious. British officials documented seeing dogs and vultures feeding on piles of Bengali corpses daily throughout Calcutta's streets and alleys. Churchill diverted Australian wheat ships from starving Bengal to feed already supplied European stockpiles that didn't need more grain. 3 million innocent people died while Britain exported 60,000 tons of Bengal's rice harvest to European storage facilities. Churchill's war cabinet knew children were dying, but prioritized hypothetical future European needs instead of current Bengal starvation crisis. British propaganda later systematically erased the Bengal Famine from history books and Churchill's official biographies to protect his reputation. Today's British schools teach Churchill as democracy's greatest hero, while completely ignoring his 3 million innocent Indian victims entirely. The Churchill statue stands proudly in Parliament Square, hiding the genocide he orchestrated through deliberate starvation of Bengal's population. Modern historians finally acknowledge Churchill's policies constituted crimes against humanity under international law definitions requiring prosecution for genocide. Churchill's racist writings remain hidden in restricted archives while his wartime image gets constantly celebrated throughout British culture. The Bengal Famine proves that history's celebrated heroes often hide humanity's darkest acts of evil behind propaganda and myth. Subscribe and comment below. For more shocking historical truths, we'll expose the hidden reality behind everything you've been taught.